Okay, it says we are live.
Okay,
Participants are going up.
okay. Good morning, everyone. My name's Kristen Reed. I'm one of the ninth grade networking chairs, and we're going to be taking a look at high school, what's next, some different options for the summer. I have with me Lindsay Real, who's one of the guidance counselors at the high school, and Lori Keene, who's another guidance counselor as well, who will be discussing, you know, basically a look ahead of what's going on with your freshman now, soon to be sophomore. And we also have the assistant principal, Larry Sullivan, with us as well. So, I mean, I think, you know, I just want to welcome everyone and thank the guidance department for, you know, once again, providing the information that they will be soon providing and for being with us today. So I'll kick it off with, Lindsay, are you starting today or Lori?
Lori's gonna.
Lori,
Lori's
okay.
Starting, yeah,
Great.
great.
Okay,
Thank you
so
so
we'll
much,
start with
Kristen.
Lori.
Thank you.
Yes.
Great, good morning all. Thank you so much for joining in on our freshman networking meeting. And today, Lindsay and I will be filling you in about the programs that the school counselors did with your children this year, and to also provide a brief layout of what lays ahead. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a question and answer session, and please enter any questions you may have on the bottom in the Q&A section, and we'll get to those at the end. And it's certainly hard to believe it's almost May and that your children's first year of high school is wrapping up so fast. And we love this opportunity to get to fill you in with what we've been doing with your children so far this year. On day one, we had a freshman orientation, and this was done over Zoom. And literally, that just seems like yesterday. We gathered with our own students right after the half day was over, and it was so wonderful to see their smiling faces. They got a chance to put a face to a name. We shared with them how to make an appointment with us, how to drop in to see us, what supports are available. We also certainly talked about them getting involved, in addition for tips for success, such as using a planner, going for extra help, and of course, at the end of the session, we did some questions and answers. Then we got a chance to meet you all on the ninth grade parent night, which was just before open house. It was a really nice opportunity to get to know your counselor, as there are 8 of us here in the school counseling department. We all shared details about our school. We talked about our developmental school counseling program that we have all 4 years for your children. We also pointed out our helpful website, and we really hope that you visited. It has a ton of information. We have a lot of information broken down by each grade, along with our filmed, recorded programs. And we also informed you of our helpful monthly guidance update. This keeps you updated with any upcoming school counseling events, announcements, and more. Next, we met with all of your kids in November in small groups in their health classes. So this was in person. The purpose of this program was to get them thinking about how they learn best. And throughout this program, we administered a learning styles inventory. This helped them to discover how they learn best. And we gave them tips on how they could improve as a learner, such as if they lean towards preferring structure, we would make the recommendation of trying to move to a desk or a table to do homework instead of the couch. And through this program, we also introduced them to Naviance. Naviance will be their sidekick throughout high school, and you will hear a bit more about the software during today's program. The students also did a worksheet during this program. We had them reflect on what they discovered about their learning styles, and they wrote down things to try. An example of this is taking short breaks while studying, possibly setting a timer during those breaks, moving to a room in the house with better lighting, or utilizing other strategies to complement their learning styles. After the Learning Styles program, we then started meeting with your children one-on-one for their freshman appointment. For many students, this was not our first meeting, as kids dropped in with schedule questions and other areas of concerns this fall. At the freshman appointment, we check in on their transition to high school is going and make sure things are going well. We made sure they had a good handle on all the tech requirements that each teacher had for turning in work on days that they're remote, and to also make sure that they were set up for success for the hybrid learning model. And we love this opportunity to further know your child. We also had the chance to discuss their learning styles inventory results, and suggested other ways of implementing enhanced study skills. And we also built a tentative 4-year academic plan together, which was sent home. And then this spring, we already met with your children again, one-on-one for course selections for next year. It was really nice to check in with them to see how things are going for them. And just to fill you in what a typical sophomore year course load is, it's going to look similar to this year, with typically about 5 core academic classes. Then your son and daughters are going to have 2 electives, 1 each semester, or 1 full year course like band or orchestra, in addition to PE and health for next year. And we always express the need for balance for each of our students. We want to make sure that they are not in over their heads. We like them to be challenged, but certainly not overwhelmed. And on that note, we do want to emphasize about getting involved this year. We hope they tried a handful of things this year: electives, clubs, sports, volunteer opportunities. We certainly want them to find something that they enjoy and further dive into these commitments as an upperclassman. And if your child doesn't seem to be involved, please have them see us. And remember, balance is just not for course selections. We need to think about the whole picture, and there's only so many hours in a day. Academics, sports, extracurricular activities, family, friends, and technology. We need to balance all of those. And just a little snapshot for next year, JV and varsity sports, for example, those teams are definitely more demanding than freshman teams. So just to keep in mind when planning. And we want our kids healthy and going to bed at a decent hour for sure. And now Lindsay is going to talk to you about what's up and coming for the next 2 school years.
Now that I'm unmuted, thank you, Lori. So that just about covers most of what we've done so far in 9th grade. And I will now go over what you can expect for your children in 10th and 11th grade years, as well as some options for summer and how to keep busy over the summer. So next year, when your children are sophomores, we continue to work on with the Naviance software. So in small groups, we administer a strengths and interests inventory that is based off of a Myers-Briggs personality assessment. And then these reports focus on a child's strengths and interests, particularly as those pertain to college majors, potential careers, and things like that. And then through Naviance, students can further dive into those results and start to research career clusters and college majors or post-secondary programs. The reports that are generated from this assessment do provide job descriptions, relevant skills, schooling or degrees that might be required, college majors, and links to colleges or locations where those programs are offered. And another feature on Naviance that we introduced the sophomores to and really encourage them to start using is the resume builder. So on Naviance, there's a template where students can go in and update through the years to continue adding any activities, awards, accomplishments that each student achieves over the years. And it's a really fantastic resource. It's a fluid document. They can keep working on it and it's all saved in one place. So we definitely recommend students do use that. And then for parents, so for you all during sophomore year, during your child's sophomore years, we offer 2 parent programs. The first one is an introduction to the world of standardized testing. So we'll talk about an overview of the standardized tests that will be available to your students as they become upperclassmen, as well as some ways that they can begin preparing and starting to plan for the future and future testing. And then the second sophomore parent program that we do is here in the spring, where we introduce the beginning stages of the post-secondary planning process. So that is where we start to talk about researching colleges, continuing the discussion about standardized testing, summer plans, initial college visits, and other things that your children can start getting involved in. We do recognize that many sophomores are not ready for these conversations yet and to begin planning for life after high school, which is perfectly okay and normal. And so these conversations really just meet each family wherever they are, prior to the real post-secondary kickoff of college planning that will be in winter of junior year. So then between sophomore year and junior year, or this summer. I will cover a couple of options that students can consider over the summer. And we do encourage students to stay active, but this year more than ever, we think taking a break from the screen, relax, recharge, that's one of the most important things that your children can do this summer. So while students might find a part-time job, maybe babysitting or camp counselor or sports camps or anything like that, there is a listing on the Connecticut Department of Labor's website where you can find permitted jobs for 14 and 15-year-olds. So your kids might find something that interests them there that they might want to get some experience with. But to echo what I did say earlier, relaxing, recharging, step away from the screens, read for pleasure, spend time with family, all of those things are really what we would encourage. And then when your children return to NCHS as 11th graders, the fall will kick off with a PSAT that they'll take at the start of junior year. And then once the score reports from that PSAT become available, counselors will start to meet with juniors in groups. And that's, as I mentioned before, when we really kick off the post-secondary planning process. So after meeting with the students in groups, we have a junior parent program in December, and that will provide more detailed information regarding college admissions, college application process, that continued college research process. And then this presentation is followed up with individual junior appointments where each junior, his or her parents and the counselor will all sit down and have a meeting tailored toward that individual student. So wherever he or she is in the process, whether that student is looking at four-year colleges or gap year, postgraduate opportunities, or something else altogether. These are always really wonderful discussions that just get everyone on the same page and are a nice kind of launching pad for what's to come. So then in the spring of junior year, standardized testing will typically begin where students will start to sign up for one of those standardized tests that I mentioned. The SAT is the Connecticut state test, and all juniors will take that in March or April of their junior year. So that's a test that all juniors are automatically registered for. They'll sit for that here at the high school. And now we'll go back to Lori, who will talk about 12th grade.
Great. I know. Thank you, Lindsay. I can't believe we're already going to be briefly mentioning senior year, which is 3 years from now. But we want to just quickly give you an overview. We kick off senior year delivering a program to students through their English classes to discuss the nuts and bolts of the application process, and we give them detailed step-by-step instructions on many of the to-dos. Following our student program, we then host a parent program that mirrors the information that we gave to students. We also have individual student appointments with each of our seniors to discuss the student's individualized plan for life after high school. At these meetings, we review their college list, discuss any extra testing that may be needed, application questions, review essays, and more. And we continue to meet with our seniors all throughout the college process as often as needed. Now, I certainly know we gave you a lot of information this morning, and we just wanted to give you a rundown of the next 3 years, and that a really big takeaway that we all want you to hear is that we have programs for you every step of the way so that you're always informed with what we're doing and what's happening for your students' grade level. And once again, I also want to highlight briefly our school counseling website where you could further see what we do with our students each year. And a lot of our recorded programs can be found right under the video presentations. So that really wraps up our presentation, and we will now take any of your questions that you may have. We know we threw a ton at you. This is a webinar format, so please write your questions in the Q&A and we will do our best to answer them. If there are any questions that you may have that we did not get a chance to address, please certainly reach out to your son or daughter school counselor. And let's see. Kristen, I think you're muted there. If you're.
All right, I was just going to say, I don't see any questions. So I don't know if, I think like for the sophomore year, I think the emphasis for my child, my older one, was, just starting to, I think it'll be different this year, obviously, because the reality is our kids haven't had a normal freshman year. So hopefully they'll be able to participate in more activities and stuff next year. I mean, sports are starting, but I know there's been reservations with joining clubs and stuff with my freshman because he just feels a lot of it's on Zoom and things like that. I think I see a few questions. So let me just take a look. Sorry.
Yeah, we have a couple coming in. Looks
Yeah.
like about Naviance. As Lori said, Naviance will be your child's sidekick. So over the next several years, they'll be using that software for several things. There is not parent access to Naviance, but we do encourage parents to ask their child, can we check it out? Let's look at it together. Krista, to address your question about the inventory, once your child is logged in on Naviance, across the top, there's tabs where the student can click on the past inventories or surveys that he or she has taken. So those are accessible there. If you do have any trouble finding them, just please reach out. I can certainly help. And yes, this recording will be available, this meeting.
And we have a question on the job listings. In our College and Career Center, the director of the College and Career Center, Sue Carroll, has a job and volunteer board where local agencies and families possibly looking for a babysitter or whatnot will be posted. So you can send your son or daughter into the College and Career Center.
Yeah, that's another great resource, Lori. I hadn't mentioned, I said the Department of Labor, if you look up the Connecticut DOL website, they have some permitted jobs for 14 and 15-year-olds. So definitely many places to look. There's a lot out there.
And what's the website for the jobs for 14 and above? That could be found on the Connecticut Department of Education, where you can see the list.
Department of Labor.
Department of Labor, correct. Yeah. And those are for jobs that are, encompass, W-2s and so forth. But we have students babysitting and CITs and so forth. Nice opportunity for students.
Let's see, so appeals, the appeals process is in the works. Departments and teachers are reviewing appeals, and those decisions generally come out around mid-May. Lori, is that right? Letters will go home with some decisions?
Mid to end May. Mm-hmm.
Mid to late May.
I see a question about the status of final exams. Yes, there will be a final exam period this year. We did not, as you know, have midterm exams consistently, but there will be final exams the kind of the last week. It doesn't mean necessarily every class will give one. As an example, I would say English classes very often will do some kind of final presentation as opposed to a sit-down exam. But yes, we will have that exam period at the end of the year.
The recording of this meeting will be posted on the school counseling webpage. So that was what Lori was referencing, where you can go back and see all of our past presentations, any of the parent programs. They're all recorded, and you can find all of those there on the website.
It'll also be on the PFA website as well, because it's classified as one of the 9th grade networking meetings. So the recording will also show up, under the meeting videos on the PFA website as well.
Good, thank you, Kristen.
And I think with Naviance, I think it's, you want to try to log on with your child. And there really is a ton of resources. So it's really a wonderful tool. I've become much more familiar with it personally because I have a junior as well. But I would strongly suggest just going on with your kids and just taking a look at it. It really has a ton of resources. So it's a, you know, as I said, it's an excellent tool. Any other questions? I see some questions about freshman year and COVID and expectations for change for next year. I don't know, Larry or Lindsay, I don't know who wants to address that. I mean, we're all hoping to have, it's kind of hard to answer, I think.
Yeah, I think that one about how expectations for sophomore year will change because of COVID this year. I think we can't really predict what COVID is going to bring us in the fall, if we'll still be wearing masks and social distance. I think I'm not a doctor, but personally, I feel like we're moving in the right direction. And if anything, things are going to be opening up more and more. So they could have a little bit more of a traditional year, but we'll see. And on the positive note, a lot of the students that I've talked to, you know, we're meeting with all of our seniors right now, and we said, you know, how was your year in terms of COVID? And a lot of the kids actually, I would say 99% said it's better than I thought. You know, that the kids are still making the most of it. They're resilient. They're enjoying their time here, especially with the nice weather. Classes are outside. We're constantly seeing kids outside with mask breaks. So things are certainly moving in the right direction, which we're all really happy about.
Yeah,
Right.
I know Governor of Lamont has said that masks are definitely through the end of the year. Like I did see something on the news about that, but I think I would probably foresee them in the fall too, correct, Larry?
Yeah, I would imagine we would, only because especially right now, the vaccines are only approved down, I believe, to the age of 16.
16.
So given that half of our population cannot be vaccinated at this point, that could change obviously
Right.
over the summer. I would imagine masks will still be part of what we do. We do intend to continue with block scheduling next year as well. It helps us keep classes smaller, which enables us to spread out numbers of kids across the curriculum as well.
Any other questions?
Great. Well, Mary and Kristen, we certainly want to thank you for organizing this lovely event. I've always really enjoyed doing the freshman networking meeting. Such a great year for students, and it's always nice to give a nice wrap up. And we thank you for giving us the time to share this information with you all.
Thank you for your time. And sorry, I did see one last question. It was in relation to teacher expectations and workload changing next year. Because of COVID, if it is going to change, which, you know, I think obviously, you know, every year gets a little more challenging in my experience with my children. But I don't know, like.
I mean, I think our teachers were learning to work in the block schedule and work with that pacing, and to shift from the process of seeing students every day. I work closely with the English department. I know, you know, a lot of conversations about how do we balance the new schedule? How do we retain the focus on the important skills we want students to develop in reading and writing and in conversation, in dialogue with each other, and yet, you know, what do we have to sacrifice because of the current environment? So I think that will continue to adapt as we become more proficient at a new schedule, and as we deal with, you know, whatever realities next year presents to us.
I think with the block scheduling, for me, I've noticed that, you know, it helps with the homework load especially. And I know that that's something that Bill Egan had also mentioned on various occasions. And I've definitely noticed that at least, they only have this many subjects. So I think that's definitely been beneficial, having had the other, the previous schedule before the block scheduling, where they could have all their classes and have homework from every subject in one day. So that's my 2 cents. But anyway.
Consistent with what I've heard too from students. Really across the board appreciating the block schedule, kind of slower paced of the day, 4 classes rather than 7. So it is.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Any other questions? I think we've answered them. So I just want to thank, Lindsay and Lori and Larry for being here today. We're lucky to have you, and we really appreciate everything you've done this year. It's been so hard, and we've all been trying, I think you've handled things really wonderfully. And, I think many people, I know Mary agrees with me, we feel very fortunate to have our children at New Canaan High School. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That's nice to
Thanks,
hear.
Kristen.
And thank you to Lindsay and Lori for doing a great job, giving you a snapshot of what lies ahead. A lot of exciting things.
Okay. Any other final questions? Last chance. All right. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Take care.